Welcome everyone, and we have some people that have to get off and go to other meetings. So we want to just dive right into it. So I'd like you to introduce yourself, but can you put it in chat and say where you're from and who you are? And we will hop right into the meeting and get some of our speakers out the door so they can go do their next gig. So meeting and the purpose of meeting is we just want to catch up with each other and figure out what's going on in the county and support each other in any way we can, and we'll do it through just communication. So we're going to start tonight with Alex Carter. And Alex has a long time family history here in Siskiyou County, and he's going to share a little bit with that with us tonight. And I'm going to make you, Alex, a co-host so you can share your screen, and Kristen, I'm going to do the same with you so you can help where needed. Now, where did you hop away to? Oh, there you are. And we'll make you a co-host. Okay, anytime you're ready, Alex.
Okay, let me share my screen here. Everyone see that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Progress.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name's Alex Carter. I work for the McConnell Foundation, but I think more interesting than that is my family's been in California for over 6 generations. My great-great-grandfather Asa came here in the 1850s, and he eventually settled in the small community of Coffee Creek on the Trinity River. About there. Much different landscape back then. Family describes kind of an environment where indigenous people and early settlers and lightning burned the forest repeatedly, and what they left there for my family when they showed up was a beautiful forest that was very fire resilient. That's very different from my experience 5 generations later, about 160 years after they settled. This has been my experience lately. Oops.
That was our neighborhood. Every single one of our neighbors burning to the ground in our neighborhood during the car fire.
That's not good.
So some high severity, community destructive wildfire. Everyone's aware kind of the latest conditions. I think, the goal of this discussion is kind of put it in perspective and maybe, put some emphasis on things can improve. So in 1924, my great-grandfather, Jesse, who was a politician in the area and eventually went on to the California Supreme Court, said, to burn now might be seriously omitted, but the policy of not burning every few years as formerly has allowed the dense brush thickets to grow up and create the fire menaces existing today. He told of a time when the underbrush was burned periodically and said that in those days, serious forest fires were practically unknown. This was because the brush was burned out before it got high enough to make the fire hot enough to set the big trees on fire. There's some audio here, and let me know if my ancestors don't come through very clearly, but I think one of the messages and interesting things here is the frequent low severity wildfire did marvelous things for the forest, and I think we can give the indigenous and Native American tribes credit for creating the historic forest conditions in that area where that hay press fire went through. The fire will burn through about every 3 years prior to 1850, every 12 years, early settlers. And then there hadn't been a fire for about 100 years, and that's, you know, the high severity wildfire activity then. This is what my kind of ancestors had to say about the conditions back then. Oops, sorry.
Alex, I'm not hearing it. Is anybody else hearing it?
No, I don't hear it.
Okay, I'll just describe it. Sorry about that. What they describe is a time when really the fires were low intensity. They describe indigenous fires burning in about every 4 to 5 years. It would come through the Coffee Creek area. And the fires were such that to protect a community, all you'd really have to do is set a little backfire and the main fire would just burn around. But late 1800s, nobody really worried about forest fires. They were all low severity. No crown fires really existed. And, you know, they grew up with so much wildfire activity in and around their communities that communities were accustomed to wildfire and they weren't afraid or opposed to it. In fact, Henry Carter, my great uncle, conducted a lot of burn operations in the Coffee Creek area himself. Says that he's lit hundreds of fires back then, and the forest in their mind just couldn't burn up. And you know, 100 years later, I think we're dealt with a very different scenario than what existed back then, unfortunately. And kind of this is a very basic graphic. You know, they describe the 1880s, you know, mostly ground fires, no crown fires. And then, you know, the time Jesse was around in Shasta County, Trinity County, he was a city attorney of Mount Shasta City. He describes a growing wildfire concern in the 1920s, but then it was mainly surface fires. And now, you know, my experience in 2020 is mostly, you know, these big crown fires. That's not across the board, but that's the trend, right? And the Forest Service has done studies. Carl Skinner was up at the property prior to the Hay Press fire, and he pretty much says the same thing as Eric Knapp's study here, that, you know, the densification of forests have really led to, you know, more severe wildfire activity over the last century. This is some study from the Stanislaus Forest. And then there's a lot of other records. The Walker family managed about 1 million acres close to where the Dixie fire burned last year. And Clinton Walker had this to say. Oops, for some reason. Elimination of summer fires created the current fire hazard. Before, there was no damage to the forest from wildfires, no pests, beetles, or rust. Nature system in our tract were working 100%. Forest was open, comparatively free from undergrowth and ground fuels. Now the forests are badly grown up to sapling trees, largely firs and cedars, and the amount of underbrush has greatly increased. And that was 1938. His report's interesting. It's about 15 pages long and goes into a lot of details about the forest conditions then and his view on wildfire impacts. So kind of my family had been involved in a lot of legislation, you know, from their background to living up in rural Northern California. Jesse introduced a bill to have prescribed fire really at the watershed scale back in 1939. He went on to introduce his son rather went on to introduce the state demonstration forest Latour Forest and others. And then he introduced the bill to create the California Board of Forestry and Fire Protection. Created the forest practice rules way prior to CEQA, NEPA, or any other environmental regulations. The first really major environmental regulation of the state at the time. And all these were for the protection of large timber. So, it's been 100 years of pretty serious efforts, and still we're in a condition where forests are burning down. Forest Service has done some studies in the Blacks Mountain Experimental Forest, just showing that treatments are effective, in areas that are untreated, have some high severity wildfire activity, where it's been thin followed by prescribed burning, kind of resembling those historic forests, not much fire severity, and thinned in the early 1980s, kind of mixed severity. So the conditions are, this is kind of what you get. That's reminiscent of areas of the Hay Press fire where I was, and the Hay Press fire, but not very, some areas burned at low severity, but there are trees that were 500 years old that burned at high severity, and a lot of, abnormal landscape disturbance, I would say, from a historical perspective. I can go on, but I think that's enough. My family did a lot for the communities, trying to build resiliency, started Reading Electric Utility, went to the United States Supreme Court to get localized water districts. Before that, there was very little local input in managing ecosystems. And I think that if anything, that's kind of the message here is, knowing the conditions now, I think it'd be good to have local participation and local understanding of, the threat to communities and the threat to these ecosystems in Northern California. I don't think we're going to be out of the woods for, another century, even if we all get on the same page. And I'd like to also just briefly add that, everyone's inherited to this problem, and that is living today. This is a problem that's well over 100 years old, and the Forest Service employees and, other agency staff have a big task on their hands and inherited, some forest conditions that obviously aren't ideal. But anyways, that's my presentation. Hopefully it gave some historical perspective of farther northern Trinity and Siskiyou County. Thank you.
Thanks, Alex. That's very interesting. Does anyone have questions for him about his presentation? All right, well, thank you, Alex. It was a great presentation. I'd like to hear those ancient voices when we get a chance, and it's better audio. I'd like to hear from those folks. So thanks again. So I'm going to go to Karuk Tribe's Jackie Nushi, because Jackie has another meeting too. So Jackie.
Hello, everyone. Some of you I haven't seen for a while. I'm now the Karuk Tribal Emergency Manager, and I actually didn't really notice that I was on the agenda until I was looking at it today. So I will do my best to make every meeting and give you an update. So I have a lot of things that I could tell you that I'm working on right now, but I think I'm just going to stick to some fire-related preparedness projects that I've kind of started. One of them is I'm currently building a hasty team, which will eventually evolve into a CERT team. I'm working really closely with Brian at County Office of Emergency Management to develop those CERT teams. But I realized that because of the area that Happy Camp, Orleans, Somes Bar it is in, the response time is going to be quite a bit. And we've already experienced that through Slater Fire. So the hasty team involves volunteers that will be trained on using Zone Haven and helping people get out helping law enforcement, to traffic control, and then also to be tagging homes for evacuations in those areas. We'll be helping in Wairika too if we're called, but as you know, Wairika is got a lot of backup and coverage there. We also have a new PIO, which I'm very excited about. I'm working with her on messaging for fire-related issues, preparedness, all of that. As some of you know, the tribe moves a little slow, which I'm trying my best to get used to because I'm a go, go, go person. But very soon we should be able to have some really good messaging up that will share information, a lot of what you probably already know, which is Zone Haven and Code Red and preparedness and all of that. And then eventually I'll be working to start some preparedness fairs so that I can make sure that all those people out there in Happy Camp are safe. Other than that, I'm working really, really close with Brian Shannon at County Office of Emergency Management because I feel like it's important that we collaborate and communicate, and we meet weekly because I'm trying my best to just kind of parallel his work as it relates to the tribe, but also as a community as a whole. So that's all I'm going to talk about right now, because like I said, I have a lot to talk about, and I don't want to bore everybody with all my projects. And yes, I do have another Senate type fire meeting I have to go to. So I appreciate you letting me go in front of everyone.
Well, thank you, Jackie. And someday we do want to hear everything you're doing. So when you have time, we'd love to do that. And if your preparedness fairs, if you can use our help, I did send out a calendar of events today so we can all see what each other are doing. And if we can collaborate in any way, we'd be glad to help you out.
Great,
So,
that would be fabulous. So yeah, I don't intend on stopping preparedness. I know that May was month of preparedness and all of that, but in my mind, it's constant and it needs to be constant. It needs to be always on the front of our minds. So yeah.
agreed. And I think we feel the same way. That's just a month to boost it just a bit more if we can. So, and let's just keep up the good work out there. So thank you.
Jacqueline, just out of curiosity, the meeting you're going to isn't about AB 1717, is it?
Let me check because it's on my, hang on one second. Of course, now that I want to look at it, I'm not gonna be able to because you're asking me. It's a town hall wildfire preparedness with let's see, I still have the email right here.
Okay, it probably isn't then if it's a town hall kind of thing.
Yeah, it's a town hall with
Senate. When you said
yeah.
Senate,
yeah, it's not a bill. It's not a bill. It's basically, you know, state of California is gonna tell me all about what it is they're doing.
Okay.
And Susie, my PIO is Alora Metcalf. If you'd like, I can give her, I'll put my email address if you want to meet with her as well. She's also working directly with Courtney Kreider, PIO, and then also with Pacific Power. We'll be working with them too. So let me put that here. If I only knew how to spell. Thank you, everyone.
All righty. Thank you for what you're doing. Are there any questions for Jackie before she goes? Okay, going. Okay, next I'd like to introduce to you Core. And Kristen, would you like to introduce Sam and Mary for me?
Sure. I might have some kids making little escapades in the background. I apologize in advance. This is our new nonprofit partner, CORE, which stands for Community Organized Relief Effort. They are an international relief organization. They can tell you a little more, but they're based out of LA. But Sam and Mary have been all over the place working on hurricane relief efforts, and the Corps is now kind of shifting focus a little bit to put some resources behind climate change and wildfire preparation in particular. And they chose Siskiyou County and specifically Dunsmuir out of several options they were considering to do a pilot project for the next 3 months. And they'll tell you what they're planning. It's very, very exciting. We're super grateful they chose us, and we're gonna make a lot of great things happen.
Well, welcome, Sam and Mary, and go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourselves and kind of give us a 1, 2, 3 about what you're about to embark upon in our county.
Awesome. Well, yeah, thank you so much, both Giselle and Kristen. It's been great being able to work with you both as well. So yeah, my name is Sam Bedrelli. I am a project manager for Corps.
And I'm Mary Pizzacco, also project manager for Corps.
And Corps, we're a humanitarian relief 501c3 nonprofit headquartered in California, in Los Angeles. But as Kristen mentioned, we do work all over the world. Corps was founded after the earthquakes in Haiti in 2010 by a woman named Ann Lee and an actor, Sean Penn. And really the mission of Corps is to help underserved communities and help communities in need. Currently, Corps is responding in the Ukraine to the war going on there and supporting as they can. And recently, Corps kind of was really able to grow through the pandemic and through COVID, and kind of being able to help with COVID testing and then eventually administering vaccines around the world. So as Kristen mentioned, the organization being based in California definitely has an interest in climate change and the effects of it, as well as kind of just the increased presence of wildfires. And prior to joining Corps, I have about 5 years of disaster relief experience, traditionally on the response and recovery side to disasters. And prior to coming to California, myself and Mary were running a program in New Orleans, providing free services to homeowners in need after Hurricane Ida, tarping, muck and gutting of the home, and kind of debris removal, chainsaw work. So that's kind of our background in leading us to kind of coming into Dunsmuir and wanting to get ahead of the fire and wanting to help with some preparedness and mitigation work. And we originally reached out to Giselle and Kristen, wondering if there's a need in the area of Siskiyou County where that need is high, where the risk of fire is high. And through discussing with them and some of our research prior, we kind of landed on Dunsmuir being a location that is a high risk to wildfire and certainly has some elderly population and other populations that might be at higher risk to the effects of wildfire. So our program's aim is to be able to come into Dunsmuir and, as Kristen mentioned, June through August being our pilot phase, to really work with the community to better prepare them for the wildfire season, as well as kind of working with them hand in hand to create defensible space on their homes, as well as kind of work on some home hardening techniques as well to those who can't afford it. So yeah, that's kind of the main priority of our program, as well as working with Giselle and Kristen on some of the fuel breaks and evacuation routes in town, and working with the town of Dunsmuir and the community itself to really learn the needs of the community. As Kristen mentioned, we are a pilot program running through the end of August, and we really want to see how we can fit into this ecosystem. So yeah, we're super excited to get to know every one of you and to learn more about the county. So feel free to reach out to myself or Mary, and we can go over any questions, and happy to meet with anyone at any time.
Well, we so appreciate you coming to our county and helping us out. We have a great need here, and the home hardening and defensible space projects are always welcome. Thank you so much, and we look forward to working more with you, and hopefully we can expand the program. Anybody have questions for Sam or Mary concerning what they do? Okay, well, thank you guys. So
Yeah,
next
thank
up, go ahead.
No, I was just saying thank you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, you guys. So next, Supervisor Nancy Ogren, you want to give us a little update on the workshop you went to and whatever else you're doing?
Hi, everybody. Last month, excuse me, I got a cough. Last month, early in the month, I went down to Sonoma County for the governor's task force on fire mitigation and forest resiliency. And it was quite an amazing few days. I think the only person that I didn't see was the governor himself. And there were secrets running around that he might show up, but he actually didn't. And it looks like we now have a new governor, which is kind of an amazing thing. We'll not talk about that. Anyway, huge amount of people were there. I think somewhere around 300 people were in attendance. Excuse me. And we talked, I'm gonna cough again, sorry. About all kinds of things. There was a few roundtable discussions. There were panel discussions, fire mitigation, forest resiliency, real specific information. The first morning we were there, there were tables set up where we could go around and just speak individually to, dang, sorry. Agencies and all kinds of, Lindsay, you could probably help me out here. All kinds of different folks from education to forest tech industries to Forest Service, CAL FIRE, gosh, you name it. There were so many different people there, but we could go around and talk individually at their tables and they could tell us what they were doing, whether it was drones or prescribed burn, just everything you could think of, even down to training forest technicians, fire technicians, first aid, everything. And we spent hours at that. And I landed up with so many business cards and so much information. It was pretty cool. One of the only things I walked away from there needing was a swag bag to carry everything that I learned. So I think they're going to take that away with them because my arms were full. And then we went into a huge, really interesting panel discussion in the afternoon. Wade Crowfoot was there from the governor's office. We had NCRP folks that were there, super important information about how much money is being spent through the government on fire mitigation and how important it is, not only in our county, but all over, especially the North State, but all over the state and all over the country. And also how important it is right now that the government sees what's needed as far as forest management, fire resiliency, and fire protection in our areas. And it was huge and amazing for me to see how much they're actually paying attention to what we actually need. So, and then Friday, we got to split up and go on tours all around different areas in Sonoma County. And I picked a place called Pepperwood, and I don't know that anybody's ever heard of it, but it is a research property that does, it was burned and then, that they have grant money from all over the place and they have a research facility there. Not only do they do weather research, cultural fire burning, and also prescribed burns. And it was an amazing, it's like 3,500 acre or more piece of property that they do all this on. And it is a fabulous place. And if anybody ever wants to go down to the Santa Rosa area, Pepperwood is the place to go if you're into research when it comes to cultural and traditional birding. It is a super cool place. And they have, so I just got a notification, they do summer camps for kids, learning all kinds of stuff, science, fire, interesting, super cool place. So that's what I took advantage of. It was a wonderful program. So that's it off the top of my head. Other than that, I just got back from 10 days in Alaska. So my brain's still a little bit foggy. So I drove up and flew back. So it was a long, wonderful trip and fished. So I'm still kind of on vacation. That's all I got.
Wow, what an adventure. And you went on one of those, what, deadliest catch things?
Not quite. Not quite. A few boats and a few float planes and salmon and halibut fishing.
Sounds awesome. Any questions for Nancy? All right, let's move on to CAL FIRE update.
Good evening, guys. For those who don't know me, my name is Susie Brady. I'm the Fire Prevention Specialist Information Officer for CAL FIRE Siskiyou. I'll do just a quick update, and then Jake, my partner, will do another update. So just want to let you guys know, as of Monday, Chief Anzo put in the burn suspension for burn permits, so no longer burning. That was put in place Monday. We were seeing a lot of escape debris burns, and activity was picking up to the south of us. So our director asked us to look into that. So that was put into place on Monday. Also starting Monday, our 13 engines are now staffed fully. So we are basically peak staffing. We're still on plan for July 1st to get our Type 1 helicopter here in Siskiyou County. We do now have 2 inmate crews at Deadwood, so that's good news. We're down to 1 inmate crew there for a long time. So we are at 2, and then we have a firefighter 1-hand crew still out of the fairgrounds. Besides that, that's all I have for my update. Jake, go ahead with yours.
Good evening, everyone. Jake Burgess, CAL FIRE Siskiyou unit. I'm the pre-fire planning captain. I don't have a whole lot to update you guys on except for grants. So fire prevention grants have been awarded, and that press release has gone out. So for the county, we were awarded 5 grants plus 1 direct award grant for a total of $3,095,205. And we also were awarded 3 landscape level forest health grants for a total of $13,071,503. So a grand total of $16 million or $16.1 million has been injected into our area to various local entities for forest resiliency and fuel reduction work. So that's really good news for us and for all of you. And then the only other thing I have is fire hazard severity zones. They're getting closer and closer. I anticipate we'll have something for the SRA, for state responsibility area, here real soon. Butte and Sonoma counties are still in their vetting phase. They're kind of their experiment for the state. And once those are vetted and the process is vetted, then it'll get rolled out to us. With local responsibility areas probably coming this winter sometime. So they'll have a pretty big impact on a lot of different programs, including defensible space, AB 38, which is a defensible space inspection when you sell your home in the state responsibility area, and a bunch of other stuff. So that's kind of all I got, unless anyone has any questions.
One last thing, Giselle, we do want to let folks know our defensible space inspectors are working in the Dunsmuir area currently right now. So I'll talk more for folks offline, and hopefully we can get those residents some help that need it.
Yep, and they're actually getting really close to being done in Dunsmuir. So they will be moving on to the Big Springs area next. And then by our next meeting, I should have an update of where they're moving beyond that.
Sounds great. We're going to be putting on a home assessment workshop on the 29th. We'll be getting out more information on that so that we can train some trainers to do just what your inspectors do and maybe a little more. And we'll get back to you as soon as we learn more about a few things. Unless, Kristen, you have something to say about that.
Oh yeah, it's the dates are confirmed. Brooke McAllister from the California Fire Safety Council is that's on the meeting tonight, is the one in charge, and the dates are confirmed for June 27th and 28th at the Dunsmuir Community Center, and it's free, free for anyone who wants to attend, and lunch and dinner provided, and it's a really, really great opportunity to, even if you just use it for yourself or friends and family and neighbors, it's a really wonderful tool to be able to see what needs to be done around your home for home hardening and defensible space work. And yeah, if you're interested, anyone wants to attend, spread the word. We'd love to get as many folks there as possible. Let Giselle or I know, and we're just finalizing the flyers. California Fire Safety Council is finalizing that in the next couple of days, so we'll get the flyers out to the email list and let us know if you'd like to attend.
Brooke, would you like to add to that subject, since we're on it right now, and I don't know if there's another opportunity to talk about it. So Brooke, if you want to say anything, it'd be good now.
Sure. Yeah, the program, the WFAP program, the Wildland Fire Assessment Program, was developed with NVFC, and NVFC is the National Volunteer Fire Council, and they were funded by USFS to develop sort of a broad strokes process for folks who maybe aren't in the fire community to have an assessment program to use on their own homes or to use in their homeowners association or just their local community. So this goes over sort of the layman's terms, and it covers defensible space and home hardening for all of the Western states. So it's going to be geared towards Washington, Oregon, and California. One part of that means that we don't get into any local codes. We don't get into any local, building codes or local issues at all. We keep it pretty broad for just anyone who wants to get a leg up on their local community, with their local, just their home in general. And we'll have 3 AmeriCorps Climate Action Corps fellows doing the training. They were all certified in November. And the nice thing about this program is that not only can you use it for yourself, but you're certified to be a trainer as well. And everyone will get a certificate at the end to keep moving the progress along. So you can also take the information and share it. I will have binders and all kinds of the assessments, which are these carbon copy assessments. And we'll have some of those to share, to use as you get started. And we'll also have this nice binder for a good handful of you. Not everyone will get them because they're limited, but it'll also be in digital form. So we'll be able to share a lot of really good information. And we're looking forward to being up there. And we're so excited. This is coinciding with CORE's project. It just really helps emphasize the need for education and collaboration and sharing knowledge. So we're so excited to be coming up.
We're really excited to have you. I'm really looking forward to it. And you guys just seem like great people. It'll be fun. So any questions for Brooke?
None for Brooke, but Giselle, I just wanted to just quickly hop back in and mention that I posted in the chat, but we are looking to hire a few positions here in Dunsmuir. So I included the link for the site supervisor position, and I'll also throw in the link now for the community outreach position. But they are short-term positions running through August. And the site supervisor position will be at $25 an hour, and the community outreach position will be at $23 an hour. So feel free to share those around with anyone, and thank you all.
And Giselle and Christian and Sam, California Fire Safe Council has a pretty good social media. Would you like us to share that job application link through our venues to get that out?
Yeah, that may be great, Brooke. I'll send you a message kind of offline to this about that. Thank you.
Great.
very much
I'll
for
put
help.
my email in the chat for you.
Thank you.
Any more questions or comments? Okay, Forest Service, what do you have for us?
Do you want Jen with the Klamath first? Or
Let's do that.
myself?
Anna, you're up. So Anna, how about Shasta Trinity? Sorry about that.
My name's Jen Erickson,
Oh,
for
she's
those who
good.
don't know me. Oh.
You go ahead, Jen. I don't know. Do you hear Jen, Giselle?
I can't hear Jen. I'll
Okay.
type it in there.
I know she was
Jen,
having some connection issues
can't.
earlier.
Well, you go ahead,
I'm-
Anna, until we get her back.
Okay. So I'm Anna Ray. I'm the fuels specialist down in South County for the Mount Shasta and McLeod side. I'm detailed here from the Klamath for the next month or so. For implementation, what we have going on is we've been cleaning up our tops piles on top of Highway 89 at Snowman Summit. So the logger came back in and is chipping those top piles and removing those. Should be gone in 2 weeks. And then we will start implementation of our fuel break that we're installing down by the Nature Conservancy and Adena campground along the McLeod River corridor. For our fire suppression efforts, we have experienced some staffing issues, as you guys have seen probably in the news and media, but we're actually sitting okay compared to some other forests that are harder to recruit and retain employees on. So we have sent fire suppression folks to Arizona, New Mexico, Texas in support of the fires down there. And we also are supporting some of our neighboring forests that are really struggling to fill positions. So one of our engines is down on the Mendocino right now, assisting them with some staffing. Just so you guys know, we did our live fuel moisture sampling last week in Mount Shasta and McLeod. And both of those sites, again, we're setting record low measurements for the live fuel moisture for our ponderosa pine, our manzanita, and the 10,000 or the 1,000-hour fuels, which is the bigger branches that are about 3 inches in diameter. So just so you know where we're tracking with this fire season, that little shot of rain that we got did buy us some time, but the conditions are looking pretty dire out there. End of report.
Thanks, Anna. Yeah. Well, I'm glad we did get a little moisture. That's hopeful. Hopefully we'll get some more as well. And Jen says she's going to try to get back on. Can you hear us, Jen?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, you're a little broken, but I can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. I'm Jen Erickson. I'm the fire prevention officer from the Klamath National Forest. I keep my video off because I'm having internet problems. So on the Klamath, we opened our front offices for in-person services this Monday. So that's our district offices and also supervisor's office in, so we're excited people come down and see some in the community. We also posted our Facebook site and released a press release about sam.gov, asking folks who might be interested in helping or being available to assist during fires with different services like land use, lunches, water use, and let's see, I have it on the list here. Communication services, any equipment that we could use, like pumps or forklifts. Anyway, so we need the community, whoever's interested in helping out and being available to be compensated for for the government's use of those facilities or services, to sign up with sam.gov. And people can get in touch with me if they want, and I can get you in touch with the right person. But we just wanted to make that announcement far and wide and make sure it's heard, because a lot of folks have a lot of helpful things that we can't use when if they're not set up to help us. So check that out. We also have folks in the Southwest, Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado. We also are having trouble with hiring and staffing. We are doing another hiring event right now. It's kind of a slog to try and round out some of our modules. Most of our modules are 5-day effective right now. Let's see, but we do have 7-day coverage on the forest. Our dozer is on. It's staffed 7 days. Our lookouts have started to come on. I'd say about half of them are up right now, and they're continuing to trickle in. Let's see, our air attack platform came on June 1st. Helicopter 503 out of Happy Camp is coming on June 10th. And helicopter 502 out of Scott Valley came on June 1st as well. Let's see, May 20th, I'm sure you were all aware, there was a direction from the Chief of the Forest Service that we pause on our prescribed burning, all prescribed burning, while they evaluate the prescribed fire program, and also because of extreme fire conditions that we're seeing in certain places in the country. So that is all I've got, unless there's questions.
Jen, could you just put the link or a little blurb about is it SAM? I didn't even really catch the acronym. If you could just put a little comment in, I can put that in the notes. That'd be great.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Well, thanks, Jen. And so the question is, are we then going to start meeting in person? And that's up to the board. So far, my board has said not yet. I don't know how they'll feel about next month, and none of them are on tonight. Some health issues with a few. And so we will we'll get back to you on that, Mike or Todd. Okay, the next item will be Siskiyou County OES. Brian, did you come tonight? Don't see him. Okay, Mike Wilson, California Fire Safety Council. What do you have for us, Mike?
Thanks, Giselle. I think Brooke covered it really well with our upcoming WFAP. We'll be excited to be seeing you at the end of the month down in Dunsmuir. And other than that, I just wanted to announce the end of May, our senior grant specialist, Dan Lang, retired from California Fire Safe Council. So for those of you that got to work with Dan in the past, he's a retired CAL FIRE unit chief and staff chief, and came to work for us and spent, I think, 14 years. And now he's off to retirement land and gonna go play. So that's the only news I have. End of report.
Oh, good. Well, congratulations, Dan. He'll be missed. He was always really good at whatever he did. So thanks, Mike. Next, the Prescribed Burn Association. And Lindsay, I think that you can combine the RCD and that one as if you want.
Sure, yeah, I can start with the PDA. And first, I just want to say thanks, Alex, for setting the stage well and telling those stories and given the historical context of, fire regimes in our area. I think it's an important thing that people understand around here, that we live in a very fire adapted and fire dependent ecosystem. And that, but we are, you know, diverted from that historic regime. And, you know, that's really what the mission of the Prescribed Burn Association is to kind of help us get back on track and, you know, bring fire back into kind of the hands of the people and, you know, support collaboration and just getting some more intentional fire on the ground. And so we did a little bit of burning recently. We supported Torchbear, helped a rancher out in Gazelle at the end of last month do some pile burning of junipers. So if you were driving on I-5 a couple weekends ago and saw some smoke in the air, that was us, and everything went well out there. It was good to get those piles out of there before the summer wildfire season. And the Mid-Klamath Watershed Council is looking at potentially doing some burns downriver this month, depending on conditions. But other than that, we're mostly just looking forward to after summer and spending summer to try to get some burns planned and in the queue for the fall, winter, spring burn seasons, because we received some funding for coordination and planning from the Watershed Research and Training Center, which is great. We unfortunately did not receive the CAL FIRE fire prevention grant we wrote to support the PBA and get some more fire trainings and workshops and training burns through. It sounded like the review committees were really focused on implementation projects this round, that they really want to see a lot of acres treated, but we're really trying to focus on training and building capacity in the community for prescribed fire, and you know, trying to rebuild that knowledge and experience within the community that we've lost over the number of years. And a couple weeks ago, though, I went down to Southern California to the statewide PBA leadership meeting, and that was great to connect with other PBA leaders within the state, and there's definitely a lot of momentum and interest and inspiration building to just help continue inspiring efforts to get more intentional fire on the ground. Let's see. Thank you, Nancy, for mentioning the task force meeting. I unfortunately wasn't able to go, but Dan Blessing went for us and helped represent the PBA and the Shasta Valley RCD in the demonstration project that we got. We had funding for last year to get the PBA started. And so that was a great event to go and, you know, see what everyone is doing throughout the state and all the good efforts that are being done. And now I will transition into the Shasta Valley RCD updates. I guess somewhat related to burning, we do have a burn assist contract out to bid right now, and that's primarily focused on our McKinley Scott fuel reduction project, which is a partnership cross-boundary project up in the Scott Mountains with some timberland owners and the Klamath National Forest. And so the burn assist contract will is for 3 and 5 person modules to help with both prescribed fire prep and implementation on the forest lands as part of that project. But we may end up using it to help support the PBA or other burning projects that we might be involved in. So if you're a contractor or no contractor that has burning services and it would be interested in bidding on that, that information can be found at our website, svrcd.org, which I just put in the chat. And then additionally, with projects going on the ground, the Azalea project is moving along. We have a contractor out on the east side of I-5 south of Mount Shasta doing some mastication, reducing fuels along the freeway there. So just be careful driving on I-5 north, south of Mount Shasta. Maybe equipment working there. Additionally, we're moving forward, working on our collaborative fuels mapping project. We had a project manager who was helping us with that, who decided to leave and pursue a PhD. So I'm taking back over the coordination of that project, and will be in touch with stakeholders on that moving forward here once I kind of get my bearings again on that project. And lastly, we are working through the CEQA for the West Mount Shasta Forest Resiliency Project, which if you haven't heard me talk about that yet, it's a large area that we're covering with kind of a programmatic environmental compliance document over 13,000 acres west of Mount Shasta between I-5 and the Forest Service on private lands to do non-commercial fuel reduction work, prescribed fire. And so we're moving through that CEQA document and hope to start implementation towards the end of this year or beginning of next year. So stay tuned for developments on that. But that's all I have, unless anyone has questions.
Thanks, Lindsay. That's great. Yeah, you got a lot going on, a lot to keep up with. We appreciate what you're doing. And to coincide with their project on the northbound lane, there will also be, through the Fire Safe Council of Siskiyou County, the same project on the opposite side of going south. So yeah, be careful out there. Stuff is happening. It's all good. If I drove that, Lindsay, and it looks really nice. The guy's doing a great job getting it right down to the soil almost. So looks plowed. So let's see, next is James Patterson here? Eric Olson? Sheriff's Office? How about Todd from Pac Power?
Hi, Giselle. It's Tyler with Pacific Power. Todd just
Hi, Tyler.
Todd just had to drop off, but we don't have an update for the group tonight.
You don't have an update? Okay, that's okay.
Your report.
We did have a meeting of the committee, and we talked about mandatory power shutoffs and a few of those things, and they presented some maps and some information, and that was good. Scott River Watershed, CHP. Stevens funding, no new updates on that. The bioregional's not here, I don't think. And then the Forest Management Task Force, Nancy gave an update on the governor's one, so that's the latest. And so let's move into Fire Safe Council updates. Black Mountain, Joey. He didn't hear us, I guess. Butte Valley, we have a grant through Stevens to treat about 100 acres out there. And it's from, we had CEQA already done and NEPA already done on that. And so they just revitalized it and refreshed it, and we'll be going there for Butte Valley. Copco Lake. Dunsmuir. Well, as you heard, there's a lot going on in Dunsmuir, and Kristen and Sam and Mary, if you want to jump in, you can add to Dunsmuir. But we got a CAL FIRE grant to do about 600 acres of CEQA and about 180, I think, of fuel reduction in Dunsmuir. So we'll be moving forward with that. Very excited that with the home hardening projects and all of the workshops that are going on there. Finally, Dunsmuir is getting some attention, and it was badly needed, and we're looking forward to making that community more fire resilient. Anybody want to jump in?
I was just going to give a plug for the Railroad Days that we'll be collaborating with Susie Brady at CAL FIRE, and hopefully Mark Thibodeau, if he's not sent away again on another fire. He's planning on being there with hopefully Smokey Bear mascot, and he was really helpful helping us get the parade applications in. So we're gonna tag team with them and be in the parade with CORE as well. So CORE, the Fire Safe Council, CAL FIRE, and Forest Service are all gonna share a couple booth spots, and it should be an awesome event. So really fun family event. So anyone who wants to just come check it out and come by our booth should because it's gonna be fun.
Absolutely. Don't forget that. And also we have our calendar that I sent out with the events on it. And so if you want to add an event or want to know what's going on in the county, let me know and I'll send you a copy of that calendar. All right, let's move on to Greater Weed, not here. Hammond's Ranch, not here. Happy Camp, anybody here from Happy Camp? No. Horse Creek, Juniper Flat.
Everybody. So on the ground part of our grant, we're working on the CAL FIRE prevention grant. The on the ground part is about evacuation route. I'm still working on rounding up some more landowner consents. So I think we'll probably, next time we do work on the ground, it's probably going to be in the fall, maybe after it starts raining. So we'll round those up, and also preparing for the evacuation sign installation. Busy on the educational side. Spoke at the Mount Shasta Vista Property Owners Annual Membership Meeting last weekend, soliciting more landowner consents. Passed out a map so people can go and look and see the work that's been done so they understand exactly what we're talking about. And I'm planning to do a tour, same idea. And I also stressed evacuation, importance, take your pets. Planning a dog vaccination licensing clinic next week for the Mount Shasta Vista community. We're not advertising that outside of the subdivision. When we did ours in March, Dr. Amy administered a rabies shot every 2 minutes, and more than half of the dogs also had other vaccinations. I will be taking the pet evacuation preparedness display there. During the meeting, it became really painfully obvious to me that our refugee population are people who are not speaking English as a primary language, if at all, have totally fallen through the cracks in fire education. We are all well aware, we've seen lots of videos, we know the different ways the fire spreads, we know the fire behavior is changing, we know all about ember storms and all that stuff. My neighbors have no clue. I am contacting village elders, and we're going to try to figure out the best way to do this. I want to get some videos out there. I have not seen any videos, and any CAL FIRE and some other organizations have been really good about putting out some printed materials, and we appreciate that. But people need to see videos. They need to see an ember storm, exactly what it looks like. They need to see fire nados. And so I'm trying to figure out how to do this exactly, maybe show bits and pieces of some different videos and have those interpreted for the audience. That's going to be a big thing, really important. see, on behalf of the Fire Safe Council of Siskiyou County, I took the pet evacuation preparedness display to Rescue Ranch Adoption event. It was fun. It wasn't as big a turnout as the organizers had hoped, but we talked to a few people. And so the best part of that, though, was other things that happened. There was a man who was interested in the things that we do with the Fire Safe Council and had asked to be put on a mailing list and interested in participating in some of those events. They put us, Kristen and I were there, and Kristen picked up very quickly on the little spiel that goes with the pet evacuation display. They put us next to the Forest Service, so that was very beneficial because we got to know Jen Erickson a little better. Our fearless leader, Giselle, stopped by. I think she was adopting kittens and visited with her for minutes. We got to see our favorite Cal Fire Siskiyou unit chief stop by. I think his wife was adopting cats. We got this, it was good. And there was a small amount of spots, and actually people followed up later and asking me for more information about the pet evacuation preparedness. I just, before that, started on something that I want to distribute to people, and it's a pet emergency contacts for Siskiyou County, and it has urging people to evacuate, take your pets. And there's information about how to find out where the animal shelters are, evacuation shelters, because those move, staying away from the fire. And a list of all the veterinarians in the county, which we recently updated, and regional emergency veterinarians too. And we updated our list of pet-friendly hospitality in Siskiyou County, so people know where the hotels and motels are that accept pets. And we handed that out to people, and I've had some requests for that after the event too. So that was a pretty, everybody loves this. I'm kind of tickling myself. Everybody loves this pet evacuation preparedness display. Siskiyou Humane Society has asked me to come and do an in-service presentation for their staff so that they can share the information with their pet parent clients. So train the trainer for the most effective things you can do. And I do want to say thank you to Susie. She's been posting a lot of pet preparedness information online, and it's just really. So I think that's about it for now. Any questions?
Thank you, Margie. You got a lot going on too. And yeah, that event, all of the animal stuff, it makes a difference because we've said before, sometimes people won't evacuate without their animals. So if we can help them do that, all the better. So
like we talked about last month, when people don't take their pets or they don't do it safely, it causes problems for everybody. Firefighters rescuing the pets, which we absolutely want them to do, but we would rather them not have to do that. We would rather let them stay out from the fire and stop it. It's like all the shelters and the pet rescue organizations are overwhelmed. Animal control is working 16 hours a day because they're coming in and feeding animals, and it's just it's heartbreaking to see them hurt. And like you said, people don't leave if they can't take their animals. So I feel about what we're doing. And we never just talk about this. We're always also sharing. I contacted Steve Wilson and Kent Cunningham and asked them what other information they thought was higher priorities for us to get out to the communities. And we're doing the home hardening and defensible space information everywhere we go.
Yeah, it's a good thing that you're doing. And a good thing for us. I adopted 2 kitties, a little Siamese. They're sisters, believe it or not, Siamese and a calico. And we've had a lot of fun. And Kristen is fostering a couple. Well, actually, I guess we're both fostering until they allow us to adopt them after they're spayed. Anyway, it was a good, and Phil Anzo's wife got one of them. So the 4 sisters, might have been 5, are all adopted into fire safe families. So anyway, any questions for Margie? Okay, let's move on. Klamath River, Lake Shastina. They're not here. They don't do Zoom, but they also got a grant for about 700 acres of Siskiyou and about 100 of fuel reduction. So they have tried and tried for years, and we finally hit the sweet spot somehow, and now we have funding to help Lake Shastina as well. Very excited about all of that. And then Lower Scott River, Perry's not here. Does anybody want to jump in for Perry? Okay. Mount Shasta area, we got a fast-tracked a grant for the Caltrans I-5 corridor from Azalea to Truck Village. That's a Siskiyou only project for about 300 acres. And so, I mean, you know, it's been really productive, this round of grants, and we're very pleased about that. And then next, Orleans is not here, Quartz Valley is not here, Salmon River is not here, and I think they've received a few grants. Syed's not here. Wairika, Jay.
Hey, hi Giselle. I missed the last Wairika Area Fire Safe Council meeting. I was out of town. I know there's just a boatload of work going on around Wairika through a lot of different partners, and I will try to be more informed by the next meeting.
Is that picture of you or some movie star?
Yes.
A movie star?
That's a very, very much younger self, Giselle.
Oh,
Thank you.
nice pick. Very well posed there. So anyway.
Hogfire, 1977.
All right. Look at that. You're right in style with that beard. So anyway.
Let me look at that.
Oh, say something, Jay, real quick. Dale wants to see that picture.
Oh, there it is. Hogfire, August 1977.
Ah, I knew that guy.
Okay.
Yesterday.
Anybody else want to say anything?
Hey, I was curious, Giselle, I see Alex Carter is off. If we could, if you could facilitate getting either a PDF of his PowerPoint presentation or the PowerPoint. There's some very good graphics and 6 generations of information from Coffee Creek and whatnot would be, I'd love to be able to share that in some of my more informal groups.
I'm sure we can. Kristen would probably know better.
Yeah, most people probably don't know. I kept my maiden name, but I'm Alex Carter's wife. So yeah, he is becoming in high demand. Mike Wilson and Brooke McAllister at the California Fire Safe Council want him to present to them as well. And yeah, he made that presentation and presented it last week at a conference with the Reading utility about putting in the industrial scale biomassing facility. So yeah, I will talk to him and figure out how to get that to you.
That'd be
Thank
awesome.
you. I found that very powerful. I've known Carl Skinner for 30 years and Phil Weatherspoon and Eric, but to hear it from a, to hear it from a 6th generation, it gives it a more personal touch, and that would be great. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll have to figure out a way to get the audio. Luckily, Alex's family, his uncle was a big historian. He was a history professor at Shasta College, and so he was really on it, documenting and interviewing. It has reels and reels and reels, hours, hundreds, if not thousands of hours of all this family history. And yeah, the 95-year-old Henry Carter, who Alex didn't mention, there's a cool side story that Henry Carter, who was 95 when he was interviewed in 1965, he was the one who found the biggest gold nugget ever found in the lower 48 states. That's in the Smithsonian now. And so, yeah, that was found up there in Coffee Creek in the gold mines up there in the Trinities. So yeah, he's got a lot of interesting history, and that recording just will blow your mind. It's such a trip to hear these guys talk about their century, near century of observations. And yeah, we'll figure out getting that to you.
Yeah, and maybe to all of us so we can hear it all in context. It'll be really great. So next meeting, you have any action items for us, Kristen?
Just to get that WFAP flyer out to everyone as soon as we get it in the near future. So anyone who wants to register can join us. And yeah, getting that recording out to people that want it. Like Jay is requesting. That's the only.
And I didn't quite touch on open forum. Anybody have anything else for open forum? We'd love to hear from you.
Giselle, this is Julie Potts from the Sierra Nevada Conservancy. I'm happy to give an update.
Sure. Oh, you want me to put you on the agenda for each month?
Sure, that'd be great.
Okay. Go ahead.
Thanks for having me. Just quickly, the Sierra Nevada Conservancy, as of January, our jurisdiction expanded to include southern Siskiyou County, so the McCloud River watershed and the upper Sacramento watershed, as well as the into Trinity County, so the upper Trinity River watershed as well. But I just wanted to let everybody know that we're largely a funding and convening agency through the state of California, and we do have a forthcoming fire recovery and forest health funding opportunity that will be announced, if not this week, early next week. So it's $25 million pot of money for either planning or implementation for projects either on private or federal lands. And there's a bunch more information on our website, sierranevada.ca.gov, and I'll pop that address in the chat as well. But I am happy to report that we were able to fund 2 projects in southern Siskiyou County at our June 2nd board meeting. The Lower McCloud River Fuels project with the Shasta Trinity National Forest, and then some FNZs out on the East Side project through the forest, as well as in partnership with the California Deer Association. And then also we were able to fund a hazard tree removal project down on Slate Creek Road. So some of the Delta Fire tree removal that's needed down on that access route. So, and again, if there's any questions or anybody has any questions about our upcoming grant program, feel free to reach out to myself. And again, there's more info on our website. So thanks.
Appreciate it, Julie. That's great. Yeah. Thanks for joining us. Alrighty then, it looks like July 13th, unless somebody objects to that date, is our next meeting. Are we going to start meeting in person, or do we need another month to kind of get ourselves together? And Jen, did you say you're open to having us there?
Yeah, have a host our state council meetings again at the SO. Could be some sideboards with that dependent community spread level.
I just put something in a chat, Jen. I can't hear you. So is that a yes or a no? You want to chat back? Thank you. Yes, so.
Hey, Jen, this is Jamie. I came on late. Sorry that I missed what you said, but I couldn't hear you. One of the things the board discussed is to come back in person, is we want to make sure we have the ability to continue for Zoom for the people who, especially who are outside of Wairika area. And so they can, instead of having to drive the long distance, they could still be in the meetings. Is that going to be a possibility with the Forest Service's restrictions on their Wi-Fi, et cetera?
She put in the chat, yes. They
Oh,
can
okay.
do hybrid. They can do hybrid.
Okay. Okay. Well, we'll get together with you, Jen, to work that out, I think, before our next meeting, because I know there's a lot of people who would like to go back in person, but still quite a few who would like to continue Zoom. So if we can do both, that would be great.
And to answer Greg's question in chat, I think we have funds that could cover some audio video if we needed to. You have to go through the board, you know, if you want to come up with a shopping list and bounce it off of us, we would be glad to consider that. And for you, those who don't know, Greg is my technical person and he's really good at what he does, has a computer business, and he keeps us going with our technology. So anyway. All right.
Well, we will let everybody know if we are able to do a half in person, half Zoom meeting. We'll want to make sure that we have it working before we try it. So.
Right. Well, we have to test it.
Hey, Jamie, this is Jay Perkins. I don't know if you remember me or not, but I think doing a hybrid model is great, because I think we need to have both options. I think that's the way to go. $6 a gallon or more, et cetera, that both in person and Zoom. Zoom, I think, brings in a far wider audience than if we just did it with in person.
Your name, I think, has passed my computer once or twice, Jay, but I agree with you. Thank you.
Yeah. Greg points out, and he does, Greg tracks the COVID situation here in the county, and he says it's on the increase right now, and many people don't feel comfortable yet being in a crowd. So yeah, so next month will not, I would say, Jamie, not be a hybrid. And
probably, yeah, just because we have to get the equipment and we have to work it out. So, yeah. But we'll keep everybody informed.
Yeah, sounds good. Any more comments, questions, advice? Any entertaining jokes? Oh, whatever.
No, Jay's here. Don't ask.
You have a joke, Jay?
No, I don't.
Oh, darn.
Hey,
Okay.
One last question.
Yeah.
I know we have a lot of new folks that have been joining us on Zoom. Can you remind us who the board members are?
Oh,
yes. Yeah, we can do that. I'm sorry, Giselle. I'm a board member, Susie. And that would be Jamie Tarn. And then Marjorie is also a new board member that she has just joined us in this last month. And then it is Perry Daniels from Scott River. And then Kelly Connor is also on the board, and Giselle being our official coordinator.
So Jamie's the president and Perry Daniels is our vice president, and Kelly is the secretary / treasurer, and the rest are just great people. So. All right.
And if anybody's ever interested in becoming a board member, please let Giselle or myself know.
Jen says that would be her. She's the great person here. I agree. All right, everybody. I guess that's it. So thank you for coming, and we'll see you next month, and not sooner. Please go to Railroad Days. There's also going to be gold, what is it? In Wairika, Gold Rush Days in Wairika. And I think we may have a table there we were invited, but there hasn't been a follow through. So we'll see. We might go to Gold Rush Days. So, or anything else that you can think of, we want to be part of and be a presence and get the message out. As Margie said, not everybody, we think everybody, because we're right in the middle of it, we think everybody knows all this stuff, but they don't. Some people don't understand or haven't heard, and they don't understand even what an ember is. Margie was telling me today, she said some of them don't even know what an ember is. So they don't know how to be ember aware, because what is it? So we need to just keep talking. And
we had a great outreach event at the Dunsmuir Family Fun Night last Friday that Core, Mary Bazzacco from Core came and joined me. And a little anecdote that was really interesting. Someone that signed up on our to be a new email list recipient. I was giving her, the rundown about, just the basics, home hardening. One of them is like, I literally was about to go to the hardware store and buy all this mulch, and I was going to take the rocks out from right up against my house and replace it with mulch. And I said, no, don't do it. She's like, I'm not. Thank you for telling me. So this is conversations that make a difference.
Yeah. Not everybody runs with the same crowd as we do, so they just don't know. So, all righty.
All right, thank you, Giselle, for doing stepping up tonight.
Well, thank you, Jamie. I love your cat. That's a Cali cat. That's a really pretty one. Okay.
All right, good night, folks.
All right, you guys.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.